Superman was invented by two Jewish kids in the late 1930s, when there also was a worldwide upsurge in very frightening anti-Semitism.
Do that. You can't put a padlock on the house of worship.
Okay. A few years ago, there was a Schwarzenegger movie. It was about a terrorist. The bad guy happened to be of an Arab persuasion.
Superman is discovered like Moses in the bulrushes. He's an immigrant from another planet who comes to Earth.
I don't know if it's Qatar or Yemen or a particular country. The Arab Defamation League of Intelligence, that kind of organization, they were all over this bill. Mass condemnation. And the point was, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that the terrorist is an Arab?
I wanted to step along over there, please.
You see, there's a higher authority than you or I.
Even in appearance, Carl Laemmle was an outsider. He resembled an elf. Not surprisingly, Universal's films often championed marginal beings who were persecuted, like the Jews of Europe.
I'm thinking, maybe this century was Swiss busy.
At Warner Brothers, the Jewish sensibility expressed itself by an identification with the little guy. The prize fighters and the losers, the loners and the gangsters.
Maybe next century they won't be, but so far, of course it's a terrorist. It's an Arab. What do you want it to be?
Yeah, right here. This is Captain Miller.
At Harry Cohn's Columbia, the emphasis was not on the outsider, but on the common man. Here, the street-smart Clark Gable lectures the upper classes, represented by Claudette Colbert.
You're in a jam, and all you can think of is your money. It never fails, does it? Ever hear the word humility? No, you wouldn't. I guess it never occurred to you to just say, please, mister, I'm in trouble. Will you help me? No, let it bring you down off your high horse for a minute. Well, let me tell you something. Maybe it'll take a load off your mind. You don't have to worry about me. I'm not interested in your money or your problem. You, King Wesley, your father, you're all a lot of bully to me.
Barney, this is Rabbi Joseph Greenblatt.
Captain Miller?
Rabbi.
Zucker's Paramount didn't put down the rich. Instead, the studio whisked audiences into a once inaccessible universe of sophistication and luxury.
This is our gambling entrepreneur?
Yes.
When it came to class for the masses, nobody outdid Louis B. Mayer's MGM. Everything glittered with quality and style, reflecting the vision of the man at the helm.
Mr. Mayer was very persuasive. It's about the only word I could use.
If they were willing to march, just those 100 or 200 people, because there was a bad motion picture from bad Hollywood, where are they now? Right there in the federal building. Maybe you can have nothing cooking to get 100 people for nothing.
He operates the Beth Isaiah Temple and Casino.
For charity.
Superman was a real alien.
This looks like a job for Superman.
Yet incredibly, he is the only superhero who manages to keep his identity secret without wearing a mask.
Quite a setup, Barn. Crap tables, blackjack, roulette, valet parking.
I take it you're reformed.
Only Jews could have created a story based on the premise that all one needs is a Gentile demeanor to hide in plain sight.
I bet you recognize him.
Conservative. But I tried to stay flexible.
As a kind of invisible enemy capable of manipulating opposing ideologies with a single goal to weaken Greenland.
And I feel light must be shed on this. So, the 6 Mort videos detail the true nature of Mort from Madagascar and how he is, in short, actually an elder god locked in an eternal stalemate with a pantheon of interdimensional fruits that command the multiverse.
Okay, fellas, bring it right on in. Okay.
Be careful, that's rented.
The Hollywood Jews may have wanted to marry into white America, but when it came to music, Jewish composers looked to black America. Harold Arlen, the son of a liturgical singer or cantor, became one of the foremost popularizers of the blues.
Stormy weather, since my man and I ain't together, keeps raining all the time.
Jews served as messengers, in essence, of black culture. They took it, they consumed it, they integrated it into their own cultural repertoire, and then introduced it to white America that was essentially willing to listen to Jews and to partake of what Jews had to offer in a way that they never would from blacks.
Put it on my desk, huh? It would be safer there.
Slot machine, too?
They still got 10 more back at the temple.
Listen, I could have used 50, but they're tough to get these days. You know, Atlantic City?
Frontline has learned that under a top-secret program, codenamed KK Mountain, the CIA funded Israeli covert activities in Africa with a budget of up to $20 million a year.
The text insists that Grays dominated the media, especially the press.
Theodosia Goodman became Theda Barrow. Sofia Kosso became Sylvia Sidney. Isser Danielovich Dembski became Kirk Douglas. Leo Jacobi became Lee J. Cobb. Shirley Shrift became Shelley Winters. Bernard Schwartz became Tony Curtis. David Kaminsky became Danny Kaye. Edward Iskovitz became Eddie Cantor. Melvin Hesselberg became Melvin Douglas. Muni Wiesenfreund, a star of the Yiddish theater, became Paul Muni. Emmanuel Goldenberg became Edward G. Robinson. The G was a reminder of who he really was.
According to him, through newspapers and magazines, they controlled public opinion.
Nice Jewish girls, such as Lily Palmer, Julie Holliday, and Lauren Bacall, or Betty Persky, helped to define the American woman.
Manipulated education.
We confiscate all this stuff. Cards, dice, chips. Tag it all. I'll try not to mix it with my stuff.
Captain, I have a permit from the city.
And shaped culture.
First on Broadway, and later in the Hollywood musical, this was the way Jewish music often sounded.
Lost his way, but now he's coming back to stay. I tell you, the black sheep, back home, missing what's right.
In writing lyrics, they turned to their Jewish immigrant concerns, of people needing to belong somewhere, needing some kind of redemption through America. The Jews took these themes, but instead of putting them to Jewish music, they borrowed black forms that they saw as authentically American. In a sense, they wrote music in blackface.
According to their interests.
They constantly invoke suppression mechanisms to keep him in a fractured state. Every time he slips into a higher dimension, they curtail him. Yes, as absurd as it sounds, it was one of the most comprehensive conclusions to be drawn.
Oh, Barney, he's referring to this.
Permission to hold a Las Vegas night.
The icons and the visual forms that we identify with the American way of life.
They created their own America, an America which is not the real America. It's their own version of the real America.
It's to raise funds.
But ultimately, this shadow America becomes so popular and so widely disseminated that its images and its values come to devour the real America.
For the school, for the charities.
Rabbi, this permit is for one night only.
And so the grand irony of all of Hollywood is that Americans come to define themselves by the shadow America that was created by Eastern European Jewish immigrants who weren't admitted to the precincts of the real America.
Technically correct.
From the 2 hours worth of evidence I had gathered.
Over the course of the civil war in El Salvador, Israel has been the second most important source of military supplies for the government side.
You see, crime does not pay, not even on television. You must have a sponsor.
After the U.S., when human rights violations cost El Salvador its American military aid for a period after 1977, the Israelis were on hand to fill the breach.
In several passages, he asserts that it's no coincidence that the major Greenman newspapers were run by Grays. For him, this media influence served to weaken traditional values, music, and architecture. He presents them as responsible for a deliberate aesthetic decadence aimed at destroying the purity of Greenman culture.
Okay. I think you've got to change the way this country does business. I happen to have been, as an accident of birth, that we all are born someplace.
We go forward with it. We have the right to use any and all weapons in our disposal, academically speaking, nuclear weapons. And I'm tired of using euphemisms. I'm tired of saying, well, we have something, in the basement, but we won't be the first to introduce nuclear weapons in the Middle East.
I was born in Israel. My parents came from Europe.
It's enough already. I said, no, let me bring you back to October 1973, during the Yom Kippur War, when Henry Kissinger instituted an arms embargo against us. And what happened? An A-4 Skyhawk was parked at Tel Nof Air Base with some interesting weapons under its wings, and we told the Americans to take their eye in the sky and take a good look at the airplane that's on that runway.
So in other words, we threatened their...
We threatened to use unconventional weapon. I'll leave it at that.
They went through the Nazi Jewish Holocaust. The point I'm making is that it's time to change the way you do business.
And so he said, is this what you want us to threaten now? I said, absolutely, except this time I want us to go forward with it if necessary.
The Samson option is Israel's deterrence strategy of massive retaliation with nuclear weapons as a quote-unquote last resort.
Look at airports as an abomination of security. Finally did something right. They hired a guy who used to run El Al Airlines. This is an airline company, and the only one in Israel. By the way, it's surrounded by 150 million people who are not too thrilled with the Jews who are just kind of running around there doing whatever they want to do. To make a long story short, there hasn't been a single terrorist action in that country. Right. So here's a good suggestion to America. Do business like Israel. Which is to say, there's nothing in the value that you're not good, you're not bad, you threaten me, I'll take out your entire country. That's all.
It's hard.
But Israeli officials insist they set standards for customers of Israeli arms.
We do have limitations, and there are definitely conditions and cases where we have not sold.
That one night was 4 months ago.
It was going so beautifully, I didn't have the heart to stop it.
Well, surely you must have realized you were doing something illegal.
I had a suspicion.
Give me an example.
I'll give you an example. If we are asked, for example, for arms used for internal, in order to use it internally against a population that is not that does not lack its own regime, for example, whether it be anti-riot or tear gas, whatever, we haven't sold it.
But in Guatemala, across the border from El Salvador, Israel has been heavily involved in the business of internal security.
So, that was Mort. But now we skip back to a more medieval period and briefly establish the timeline of the Shrek films, so we can solve a variety of its characters. First, we spent 4 videos solving the fairy godmother and determined that she's a witch who's out to get revenge on the royal family that wronged her through any means necessary.
Gunned down in front of the U.S. Holocaust Museum, I believe it was, in Washington, D.C., for one reason only. Only because they were Jewish.
It's just so sad. Not only just 2 people died here, but people who were called for no reason to be there. The woman who was killed, her name is Sarah Beckstrom. And the reason I know this is because I Googled her name to look up who she was. I wanted to know who was this person whose life was taken by this incident. And while I was Googling her, I then noticed, very strangely, her name also happened to be searched 2 days before she was murdered. Her name was searced on Google 25 times in a specific country. Can anybody guess what country it is? No, it's Honduras, guys. What are you talking about?
In fact, when this beast was arrested last night, you could watch on the video as he cries out, he screams out, "Free Palestine."
They're very protective of themselves. I don't think anybody can debate that. I don't think it's not the problem isn't that they're protective of themselves. The problem comes when you think that you're better than other people, and you think it's okay to lie to anybody that's not a Jew. You think it's okay to steal from people that are not a Jew. You have 2 sets of standards. The problem with that is it allows you to rationalize anything.
Free Palestine is not a call to help the Arabs as much as it is a call to kill the Jews.
Right? Human beings are generally self-serving creatures. So if your fundamental religious belief system allows you to operate in such a way that you believe there isn't consequences to stealing from other people, killing other people, being kids that are under 9 years old, like if you think those things are okay, then how are you going to operate? Because to me, like, my moral code keeps me on track.
I'm kidding. It's Israel. Are you guys psychic? Yeah, I should have said hint. It's an ethno state. Sarah Beckstrom's name was searched in Israel 2 days before she was shot. 25 times.
Pakistan was in Afghanistan, and your secret police, I don't mean to put it on you and say your secret police, but the Pakistani secret police financed the Taliban. I mean, they were in there. There was a lot of fear.
You're absolutely right. If you just go back 20 years, when the Soviet Union attacked Afghanistan, what happened? They said,
pulled out.
They actually pulled in.
After the war.
That's why I'm saying the CIA funded the ISI, the police force training, said we need to get the Afghanis beat the Soviet Army, we got to beat them, and what we have to do is tell them against their religion. So it's a godless enemy with the Soviet Union, we have to break them down. So millions and billions of dollars of ammunition were pumped through Pakistan into Afghanistan to beat the Soviets. And those guys, 15, 17-year-old guys, always the bad guys. I see no looking in the mirror. I see no, let me just put it, I see nobody beat the Soviet Union, and for the free world, the Cold War was ended. America
Use Google Trends. You can use it to see when something was searched on Google, and you can even see where it was searched. So naturally, people were like, let's see if this is searched in Israel. Sadly, we have to get to that point nowadays.
I see no looking in the mirror. I see no, let me just put it, I see nobody beat the Soviet Union, and for the free world, the Cold War was ended. America exited. I know, America, but it's like, I really understanding all the problems in the Islamic world, and I really have our foot on the throat of the Islamic state. If we disappeared, would everything be good in your world? Aren't we fighting the battle that you should be fighting against your own?
But if you look up Sarah Beckstrom, you see that she was widely searched the day after she was shot, because obviously she was a national headline, but then she was also searched 25 times 2 days before she was shot, and that was it. That was it. Now, when somebody is searched, after the shot, it totally makes sense.
Another part of the world who are at colonial oppression, who are not Islamic, why aren't they flying?
If somebody searched before they're shot, either they have an X in that country.
But it's all good. You know why? Because in time of war, you need extraordinary measures. During World War II, there were lights out. People would knock on your door. However, just want to make the point. The notion hit me all of a sudden. I saw 10 or 15 people marching with like peace, love, white, middle-class kids who probably believe in the notion that don't go to war, don't take out these people, let's have a conversation. They were saying, make love, not war. The notion hit me all of a sudden, what would happen if somebody just dropped some anthrax in the middle and they sort of caught it? What would happen to the point of view? The question being that I have a feeling they're going to want to kill anything very soon after that. Right. So do it the Israeli way, folks.
Or perhaps that country may have something to do with the murder. And I'm not making fun.
Before October 7th, when the United States attacked them, I think there was a huge...
But listen, the money is going for good causes. It's going for the children's school. It's going for the senior citizens
Rabbi,
program.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to bring this to the attention of the district attorney's office.
Oy.
Holocaust education is absolutely essential, but I think it may be confusing some of our young people about anti-Semitism because they learn about big, strong Nazis hurting weak, emaciated Jews. And they think, oh, anti-Semitism is like anti-black racism, right? Powerful white people against powerless black people. So when on TikTok all day long they see powerful Israelis hurting weak, skinny Palestinians, it's not surprising that they think, oh, I know, the lesson of the Holocaust is you fight Israel. You fight the big, powerful people hurting the weak.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
Listen, if you must, you must.
You're very understanding.
It's my job.
You want to have a seat over here, please?
He has his identity as a mild-mannered intellectual, but really underneath he's the man of steel. I think that's a very suggestive Jewish fantasy.
He robbed a liquor store.
A Jewish boy? I don't believe this.
It's almost as if he's passing all the time.
So who are you anyway?
So I'm a rabbi. I hope at least you don't rob on the Sabbath.
I usually wait for sundown.